using the plus sign at the bottom because we have, excitingly enough, a lot of new Android users, and our room is not showing up in the news feed for all of them. So if you know someone who is not yet following Music Industry City or not in the Music News Power Hour room, please use the plus sign at the bottom of the room, ping your friends in, invite them to join the Music News Power Hour with us. We're going to get started here shortly with some headlines. Thanks for joining us.
Eli, can you ping Angela in?
You got it.
And we're going into the countdown. How you doing? And welcome to the Music News Power Hour here on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. And today we are going to talk about Triller and Universal finally kiss and make up, save our stages, monies are finally going out, and Germany's controversial copyright reform. Plus, we have live music updates, and Ticketmaster and Snapchat, they jump in bed together. Plus, your daily Spotify update. It's the week in review. And let's welcome my co-host, Eli Window, and Angela's somewhere to be found, but we're going to kick over to Eli.
We're gonna keep trying to get Angela into the room. Welcome to our Friday week in review. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to talk about in today's Music News Power Hour. Today, we remember the death of American bass guitarist Louis Johnson, who died age 60 on this date, 2015. He was a member of the band Brothers Johnson. We also remember in passing today from 2016, Nick Menza, a former drummer in heavy metal band Megadeth, who died after suffering a massive heart attack on stage while performing with his band in Los Angeles. And in memory from 2019, we remember today Jake Black, the very Reverend D. Wayne Love, Scottish musician who died on this date, 2019, aged 59. He was a member of Alabama 3, who are best known for their track Woke Up This Morning, which was used in the opening credits of the TV series The Soprano, in memory. Moving on, birthdays today. Happy birthday today. Wow, 1904, Fats Waller, American jazz pianist, organist, composer, singer, and comedic entertainer. His best-known compositions, Ain't Misbehavin' and Honeysuckle Rose, are part of the Great American Songbook. Fats Waller's birthday today from 1904. Also born May 21st in 1963, Tim Lever from English pop band Dead or Alive. Born this day, 1964, Martin Blunt, bassist with English indie rock band The Charlatans. And born this day, 1972, American rapper, the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, a.k.a. Christopher G. Wallace. Born this day. Moving on this day in history. May 21st, 1980, a thief broke into Electric Lady Studios in New York City, the recording studio built by Jimi Hendrix. The thief stole 5 Hendrix gold records for the albums Are You Experienced, Access, Bold as Love, Cry of Love, Rainbow Bridge, and Live at Monterey. On this date, 1980, also Joe Strummer of The Clash was arrested at a much-troubled gig in Hamburg, Germany, after smashing his guitar over the head of a member in the audience. He was released after an alcohol test proved negative. On this date, 1982, the Hacienda Club was opened in Manchester, England. Legendary. And on this date, May 21st, 2003, Mariah Carey hit back at Eminem's threats to sample the slushy voicemail messages she left on his mobile. Carey described the rapper as a quote, a little girl, saying it's like dealing with a girlfriend in 7th grade and he shouldn't do it because it'll get him in a bit of trouble with her lawyers. End quote. Dun, dun, dun. Crazy day in history. Over to you, Peter.
Right on. Hey, Andy, the Hacienda must be rebuilt.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah, there was over during I think it was this time last year they did a whole Hacienda Must Be Rebuilt live stream festival. So I remember that was going on. And so, it was great to see that. I mean, the Hacienda was one of the most legendary nightclubs, and it was short lived mostly, but it was still impactful. It's kind of like Nirvana, short lived, but very impactful. And with that, let's go over to the news, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. But first, welcome to the Week in Review. This is where we, during the Music News Power Hour, this is where we scour the World Wide Web for music business news that we think should be open for discussion. We're going to begin the reads very shortly. First, want to welcome everyone tuning in on our video live stream. How you doing out there? Feel free to say hi and add any questions or comments in the chat. How this works is we're going to read key sections from articles for the first 20, 30 minutes, then open the stage for a roundtable discussion for the remainder of the hour. Feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to come on stage and offer your thoughts during the roundtable. If there's anything a topic that you want to bring to the stage, please know it's being recorded live streamed on our network. To stay in touch, also make sure to tap the green house on the top to follow the Music Industry City group, and you can register for free at musicindustrycity.com to gain access to all our updates and programming. And make sure to follow all the green buttoned co-hosts on the stage. And with that, there's one more public service announcement. Make sure to invite some people, hit that plus button and invite some people into the stage. There's a lot of new Android users. Android is officially, Clubhouse is officially rolled out on Android worldwide today. So if you know people, they're not going to see these rooms because of the algorithm. I know that Clubhouse is working on a great updating the algorithm, the search functionality. It's going to be awesome. But right now, they probably aren't going to see this room. So if you want to just ping them in, if you know somebody that maybe will just enjoy being part of it, or that that might have something to say and want to come to the stage. So with that being said, let's get to the news. All right, so we're going to kick off from Live for Live Music. And again, all the show notes, all the articles are in the show notes. If you want to follow along with all the articles that we covered during the week. Hey, Eli, we covered 59 articles this week.
Oh my gosh, what a week. You know what? It's great to see so many articles in the news and so many things moving along. I love to see all these headlines. I'm sure that our discussion is going to be crazy today for the Week in Review.
Yeah, it is. And we got a lot, but we're going to go quickly through these. So if anybody has something that they want to see the articles, you can go and find those article headlines and the links at musicindustrycity.com and just click on the show notes graphic and it'll transport you to the headlines, the articles. We also have resources. We also have the Music Industry City monthly playlists and the artists that are shouted out in the Good Day Music Room. And with that being said, let's get to this. This is what concerts, tours, and music festivals were announced this week. So I'm not going to read all of this, but it is a great, quick little link that will take you and show you some of the, for concerts that were announced, like Ben Folds, Humphrey McGee's, Black Crowes, Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer, some of the festivals, Welcome to Rockville, Lollapalooza, Bottle Rock, Napa Valley, Pitchfork, Government Mule Island, Exodus, and more. So then there's the venue series. So they're going to be updating this on their website. So if you want to follow Live for Live Music. With that being said, let's go over to Fuji Rock. And you want to talk about, I might want to attend this concert, this festival, just for the sake of hearing what it's going to sound like. Fuji Rock asks attendees to, quote, refrain from speaking with other festival goers. Eli, I just see you laughing there.
Oh my gosh, where do I get tickets?
I know, sign me up right now. Please don't talk to me. So the article, this is in EDM.com. Starts off, along with typical music festival essentials like a backpack or water bottle, those interested in attending Japan's Fuji Rock Festival may need to purchase a muzzle. As if organizers used the screenplay for A Quiet Place as a blueprint, one of the event's official COVID-19 measures asks attendees to, quote, refrain from raising your voice or speaking with other festival goers while inside the festival. Another asks that they, quote, do not cheer, shout, or have unnecessary conversations during performances. As first reported by IQ, the organizers of the Japanese Music Festival shared an exhaustive list of safety measures to prevent the spread of the virus. Direct contact with other attendees, regardless of whether or not they are vaccinated or adhering to the festival's strict mask mandates, seems to be the crux of the matter. Quote, moshing, diving, and any other actions which result in direct contact with others are strictly prohibited, the website reads. One of its other guidelines advised against giving high fives to other attendees on the ground. And Fuji Rock is scheduled to take place August 20th through the 22nd at the Naiba Ski Resort in, I can't even pronounce that, Nagata Prefecture, Japan. Niigata. Okay, all right. So you can read the full events and the links and all their measures. There's links in this article. And Tokyo confirmed 843 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday, according to the Japan Times. The number supports a gradual decrease in the weekly average of new infections, which stood at 704 compared to 934 a week prior. I want to go there just to hear what it sounds like to just go to a festival and not have to talk.
I'm curious too what a festival would be like where the audience is encouraged not to cheer, maybe even forbidden to cheer. And so just as something that's completely unprecedented, this is fascinating to me. I don't know if that's going to work. How do you keep people from cheering? It's live music, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like here's a muzzle.
Right. When you mentioned the word muzzle, I'll tell you the first thing that came to mind is I have a singer's mask that was manufactured for Broadway singers, and it kind of looks like a muzzle. And I was thinking maybe they would have everybody actually put on one of those duckbill muzzle looking masks. Interesting to see what will happen, and I can't wait to hear the updates.
It'll be very interesting at that. So, all right. Speaking of, the article started talking about bringing a backpack and water bottles. So, this one is that Live Nation is phasing out plastic water bottles at all shows and selling their own canned water instead. So the article starts off, Live Nation phase out water bottles at its events. That's because the event promoter became an equity investor in the canned water company Liquid Death. Liquid Death just closed a $15 million Series C funding round with Live Nation as an equity investor. It will only sell Liquid Death at its venues and festivals across the United States for a limited period of time. It has more than 120 venues and festivals in the U.S., and plastic pollution is a very real public health concern. Other investors include Tony Hawk, Steve Aoki, and a whole bunch of others. The company said wants to conquer U.S. and Canada for the time being, and it's exploring some new limited release flavors. It's an interesting concept to help deal with the plastic pollution, as the marketing campaign promises to murder your thirst. But seeing a can of non-carbonated water just reminds me of those surplus cans Anheuser-Busch hands out during disasters in the South. And that's all from this writer from Digital Music News. And it says, canned water isn't exactly appetizing because even with the thin bag of plastic between the water and can, aluminum does make things taste differently. Liquid Death says their water is 100% stone cold mountain water that is bottled straight from mountain to can. The water has a 8.1 pH for anybody that cares about the alkaline content. I just thought it was a kicker that's like, hey, we bought a company, so now this is what you're going to drink. And there's no other options. But it's if it's helping the environment, then that's good. Keep on. We just have a few live music updates, so we're going to keep going. The Air Event Solutions study shows festivals are most in demand, and this is from access.co.uk. A new study from LeadSpace Air Event Solutions has revealed that festivals are the event that Brits are most looking forward to attending again following government restrictions easing from 17th of May. The research, which polled both attendees and event organizers, revealed that 46% of Brits would prefer to return to events from July onwards, as opposed to 21% feeling comfortable attending events in May. 15% said they preferred to wait until October, and 6% until 2022. This is an interesting, because the next set of stats, the reason I pulled this out is because this next area is, we're going to get sick of the word hybrid. I want to use the word mixed in a mixed media way or something, because we're going to look at like the crossover between live events, hybrid, live streamed, everything like that. Here's the next stats. With 55%, festivals came out on top as the most popular type of event. This followed closely by weddings at 55%, then webinars at 26%, networking events 23%, and workshops 20%, also in the top five. A study found that just under half of the Brits would prefer to attend in-person events only, with a third preferring a hybrid format so they can choose whether to attend virtually or in person. A fifth of those polled said they would prefer to attend virtual only events. As far as preferences per age group, just over a quarter of under 30s would prefer to attend hybrid only events, alongside 38% of 30 to 49-year-olds and 36% of over 50s. The data show that those living in the Greater London area are most eager to see a hybrid events format move forward, with 67%, and residents in Wales and East Midlands, 71%, most likely to prefer in-person events. A third of those living in Northern Ireland would most likely prefer virtual-only events. So this is, interesting stats. It will definitely vary by country, but it's good to start seeing, as an event promoter, organizer, producer, it's we're going to have to start paying attention to these type of stats of, like, is the return on the investment to make it a live streamed event, is that return on investment worthwhile, because it could be expensive? Are people, then it takes into, they don't take into account here, but what is the price point? And we'll let the price. And that's always the question. It's like, oh, live streaming is going to, if we live stream the festival, it's going to dilute ticket sales. There's going to be that debate, as always. And wrapping up here on the live music, we're going to wrap up the live music segment on a good note, is from Hypebot. SVOG, the Save Our Stages grant distributions to finally begin next week, says the Small Business Association. Administration. 5 months after $16 billion aid package was signed into law to help the struggling indie live music sector, desperately needed shuttered venue operating grant distributions are finally set to begin. The SBA had been telling venues that distributions would begin late May. Yesterday, SBA agency administrator Isabel Guzman told the Wall Street Journal that next week is the target. There was more than 12,000 applications for SVOG funds. Agents have been submitted since the program opened April 26, according to new SBA data. Of those, 5,004 applicants were live venues and promoters, 2,853 were performing arts organizations, and 1,411 were agents and talent representatives. And the National Independent Venue Association Executive Director, Reverend Moose, told Polestar, quote, the SVOG program was intended to provide emergency relief for an industry without recourse. The legislation creating this program was passed 5 months ago. That those funds are still not in the hands of venues and promoters is a huge inhibitor to being able to effectively compete in the marketplace. And this goes on. There's been 14 months of no income, and we know this. And so we're going to see the independent sector take massive hits for no other reason, because we don't have access to the funds. That may mean independent festivals are going to be postponed another year. Independent venues won't be able to get talent, and the promoters that would generally be renting space don't have access to capital to be able to do that. Every single day that funding is not available affects the entire independent live sector. Very true. And we also talked about yesterday, or earlier this week, since it is the Week in Review, we talked about Broadway opening up, and we talked about the fact that the issue there was like, yeah, well, you can open up, yeah, you can open those doors, but you need to have at least 75% capacity, or you're going to lose money, and you're going to shutter faster because you're now cash flow negative. It's the challenge, and that's what they were talking about with Broadway. It's like you can really only open some of these if they're 75, 80%. You can have that kind of capacity. Any thoughts on any of this in the live sector?
Regarding the SVOG grants, apparently next week there's going to be some additional hearings regarding why it's taken so long. And the word is they've been going very slowly as to not distribute funds to any of the non-deserving, larger conglomerates that own, multiple venues and such. I mean, the big boys, Live Nation and AEG, are excluded from getting the grants. But they're worried about the way the PPP loans got given to Shake Shack and Ruth Chris Steakhouse and other large chains. So it's really just crawling along, and it's painful, and it's a shit show. But I just had that little bit to add.
Yeah, thank you for that, and that's that's important to know because again, like you said, with the what went out was like a public outrage, and some of those companies did give the money back just after the public jury got on social media about this. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that, but also, how long does it really take to filter and say, Live Nation or check out the venue? It's like, okay, we can identify it. It's in a database. Say, okay, is it Live Nation? Is it? I'm sure. Did they ask the questions? Maybe they didn't ask the proper questions. Who owns the company? Like, if you are a venue, are you owned by a conglomerate of some sort?
Well, just to play devil's advocate, I do want to point out that in terms of trying to streamline and keep things as simple as possible, it's definitely a lot easier to pre-screen before the funds go out than to try to recall or recover them later, or to single out certain other venues and delay their funding. So, and just to play devil's advocate, I can understand the care and the caution, but I can't say enough that if a lot of these small venues are to remain in the hands of their current owner operators, that they need this funding and they just can't wait. It needs to come and it can't come soon enough.
I just can't wait for this all. It's going to take a long time for this to all reset anyway, because when everything opens up, we're talking about competition again. We're talking about you as a independent artist, a smaller artist, trying to get that stage time when everybody you're competing. Like, say, New York City. New York City is a music festival every night of the week with hundreds of shows, and these artists are going to be trying to compete, and they haven't been out. They haven't been able to develop a fan base. They have some of them are going to be rusty. Some of them trying to get band members back just to play on stage, and it's also they're going to be competing against the fact that people just want to go out and have a drink with their friends and just hug people, and then it's going to be competing against the bigger shows and against the festivals. That's nothing new. That happens every day, but even more so, are people going to say, "Hey, I'll go support you because I'm not really doing anything," or is going to be like, "No, I needed to spend all my money to go to this festival because I need to get out of here." And also, we're talking about disposable income as another possible issue with supporting the smaller acts and the venues, and it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to take a long time for this to reset.
That's very true. This is a bruise, not a scratch. It's going to take a little bit of time to come back to even keel, but I will say it's great to see the whole music community and every facet pulling together to make it through this afloat.
Yeah. Keep doing it. Support indie, support local. And with that being said, let's turn our views over to Universal Music and the big players here. Universal Music and Triller make up entering into a new licensing deal. If anybody's been following this, it's been going on for quite some time. Universal and the media, this months ago, Universal made a, basically called them out through a press release. They put it out to saying, "Hey, we're not renewing our license." Triller shot back, "Hey, Universal, we don't need you." Universal said, "You kind of do." Triller said, "No, we have licensing deals with the artists." And Universal's like, "That's not how any of this works." So it's been a real interesting roller coaster of a back and forth. So this is from Complete Music Update, and the author of this one kind of has the similar feelings. "If you, like me, have an industry spat list stuck up on the wall next to your desk, you need to get the triplex out and remove Universal Music versus Triller, because the major has made up with the TikTok rivaling video sharing app and signed a new licensing deal. Triller has had deals in place with various labels and publishers for some time now, but has also had some run-ins with certain music rights company in the last year, most notably the biggest rights company of all, Universal. Although the mega major had a short-term licensing deal with Triller in February, announced it was bailing on the app because we will, quote, "we will not work with platforms that do not value artists." Universal also added Triller has shamefully withheld payments owed to our artists and refuses to negotiate a license going forward. We have no alternative except to remove our music from Triller effective immediately. The Triller company expressed surprise when Universal put out that statement, conceding that its initial deal with the majors had expired, but adding that negotiations for a new deal were ongoing. And then CEO Mike Liu said that he thought the company had, quote, solid relationship with the Universal team. Triller's official statement then somewhat ominously said its efforts to renew its Universal deal were, quote, just a formality and courtesy to the major anyway, because it has direct relationships with many of the record company's key artists and therefore had, quote, no use for a licensing deal with UMG. Except, of course, those artists are unlikely to be in control of any of their recordings because they're released with the Universal label, and to compete with all the other social and video sharing apps now providing inbuilt audio libraries and track snippets, Triller really needs to access the UMG catalog. All right, but now the squabbling's over, and with this, here's a quote. With the new agreements, Triller's users gain access to UMG's full catalog of music from the company's iconic record labels and recording artists, as well as the songwriters and catalogs represented by Universal Music Publishing Group for use on Triller. All right. So, it goes in a little deeper, but that's the whole thing. If you've been following along, and like the author said, you can take that down off the industry spat list. With that being said, we are going to continue talking about some live streaming, and this has also been ongoing. And this is from Complete Music Update. And once again, you can get all the headline articles, links to them in the show notes. And those show notes are at musicindustrycity.com. So if you head over to musicindustrycity.com, which you can also register for free there, and you get all our information. We send out 2 emails a week with all our programming and our some fun information, new thoughts, our playlists, everything, all that's happening in the city. You can also get the show notes there by going to musicindustrycity.com and clicking on the show notes graphic. This one says Live, Live. This is the organization. Live Voices. It's Live Voices is opposition to PRS's new live stream license. So this has been going on. The trade group that represents the UK live music sector, Live, Live, has joined the Music Managers Forum and Featured Artists Coalition in criticizing the releasing unveiled PRS license for ticketed live stream shows. It argues that the royalty rate PRS is charging will have a chilling effect that could make live streaming unviable in the long term. Collecting societies and music publishers around the world have been busy figuring out how to best license live streaming over the last year after the COVID-caused shutdown resulted in new interest in live stream shows among fans within the industry. That meant a plethora of live-streamed concerts went ahead with the costs and mechanics of licensing the song rights that would be exploited on those shows to be confirmed. One challenge is that the way the song rights are licensed for live shows is very different to the way song rights are licensed for streaming services, both in terms of complexities and costs, and it's generally been decided that a live stream is more of a stream than a live show, which means separate license may be required for each country the show is accessed in and from both music publishers and collecting societies, and the rates will be higher than for real-world gigs. In the UK, Collection Society PRS has sought to simplify the licensing of live stream shows as much as possible by pulling together a license which includes the performing rights it directly controls and the separate reproduction and sync rights in the same songs usually controlled by the music publishers, all which are arguably exploited by live streaming. It has also sought to make the license as global as possible. So some have welcomed this, some are against it, and they floated, it goes in deeper. I don't want to start going in all the rates, but it's like, floated a proposal that would charge a royalty rate between 8 and 17% of each live stream concert revenues, with the low rate applying to the first £50,000 of income, and then the rate increasing on revenues above £50,000. The 17% rate would have applied to income above £450,000. That price range compares to the 10 to 15% of revenues charged on streams and the 4% of ticket income charged on real-world gigs. It goes in a lot deeper, and there, the MMF and FAC were quick to hit out that at the new license, stating it, quote, has the potential to be damaging for many artists who have live streamed during the pandemic, and that, quote, the high level of backdated tariffs for online shows will be widely viewed as unjustifiable. So they want to backdate this as well. So it's been an issue, and I don't know if anybody, Andy, I don't know if you've been following this at all, if you have anything that you could add to this.
I have been following it, but I'm not that knowledgeable on it, to be honest. But it just sounds like a mess, to be honest. The whole backdating thing and everything that's going on, it just feels like a mess. But yeah, I'm not as knowledgeable as I could be.
Adam, you raised your hand during this one. Is there something that you want to chime in about this particular topic? Have you been doing live streaming?
I haven't, no, but our friends at the management company that looks after us run Drift, which is like a live streaming outfit. And a lot of people involved in that are also kind of heavily involved in the MMF Drift, which has done some really innovative stuff around live streaming, and is also
Oh, we're losing you a little bit. I think we lost Adam.
completely.
Adam, could you
Sorry,
actually back up
am I
just
back?
a couple sentences? Yeah, we
Yeah,
lost you.
we lost you about a sentence or so ago, and we want to make sure we hear what you have to say. Could you back up for us just a little?
I'm sorry. Is that better now?
Yeah.
Oh, much.
Yeah, I think mainly it's the stifling of innovation and the making it retrospective. People have invested quite a lot of money to suddenly kind of make these live streams work commercially in a very short space of time with an unforeseen set of circumstances with the pandemic and adding the kind of sudden bureaucracy and unexpected costs retrospectively is a kind of a little bit of a slap in the face to people who've worked really, really hard to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this across the board. I really wish there was an easier way to like and we're going to talk about actually the Germany passed a copyright ruling, and it also has people up in arms. But I actually, I'll comment on it later. But it's really interesting to see how they're trying to tier things and clip lengths and stuff like that. And it's not well received, but it's a step in the not necessarily the right direction, but it's a step in a direction. It's like, is there a way that we can license easier for different streaming platforms? Is there, the answer is yes. It's just how to get people to on board, and the royalty rates and the fact that, stifling innovation, creativity. I mean, Twitch has been going through their DMCA day of reckoning, and actually this is now almost like a year of reckoning for them. And artists, they have retroactive where an artist, a Twitch creator, if they had video on demands, if their VODs were still up, and they were getting copyright strikes, they were getting their accounts banned that were going back years. And Twitch didn't do anything about it. And then they came out and said, oh, by the way, here, if you don't want to get taken down, if you don't want to get your account banned, don't use music. And then these Twitch streamers were saying we have years and years of content, and they're getting taken down with not even a chance to, have a retort. And then Twitch said, oh, we made life easier for you. Here you go. We gave you and we created a platform here. We added to your account that you can bulk delete all your VODs. And then people did that, and then people were still getting banned. And people were like, why are we still getting banned? And then it was found out that Twitch keeps a copy of all your video on demands on a public server somewhere, and all the scanning tools were finding those and still placing copyright strikes against those people. And Twitch keeps on saying that, we don't have to pay the certain licenses, but they don't want to pay the certain licenses. And it's amazing. I wish there was just an easier way. I sorry about the whole tirade, but I'm getting tired of hearing about all. It's like, come on, let's try to figure out a way to make this a little easier without having to use the word blockchain in a sentence.
You're not the only one who's finding their gears getting ground over this. I think this is grinding gears for a lot of people. This, we all have our soapbox on this subject.
So I'm going to keep this going. Let me go into the Germany article. I'm going to cut right over to that. This one's in Billboard. Germany passes controversial EU copyright reform, sparking ire. The new legislation torpedoes the digital reality of the German industry, says CEO of Industry Association BVMI. All right, so Germany's parliament approved controversial copyright laws can make it harder for music right holders to agree to future license deals with clip-focused sites like TikTok and Triller, in spite of strong objections from labels, artists, and publishers. The reform passed on Thursday are part of widespread changes to Germany's copyright laws under the European Union Copyright Directive. The European Parliament approved the directive in 2019, with 27 member states of the European Union given 2 years to adopt its terms into national law. Those terms include the requirement for platforms that rely on user-generated content, such as YouTube or Facebook, to make, quote, best efforts to remove unlicensed content, take concrete steps to ensure it wasn't uploaded again, and reach, quote, fair remuneration deals with rights holders. Germany becomes the fourth EU member to adopt the copyright directive into national law ahead of the June 7th deadline, following Netherlands, France, and Hungary. Unlike those countries, however, Germany's legislation includes controversial provisions that opponents say will have devastating consequences for the country's music industry, which is the world's fourth largest, with $1.4 billion in total revenues in 2020, according to the IFPI. Thousands of young protesters took to the streets about this years in 2019. What they're saying is the legislation torpedoes the digital reality of the industry and destabilizes contractual relationships between rights holders and platforms, says Dr. Florian Drücke, CEO of BVMI, the German Music Industry Association. It goes into a lot deeper here, and Helen Smith, the executive chair for Impala, said despite repeated warnings from music and other sectors, Germany has taken a step back in time for culture. The article goes on. It's like basically what they're talking about is the area here is among the changes is the ruling that platforms using short song clips of under 15 seconds will be considered, quote, minor use, and thus effectively exempt from having to obtain permission or a license from the rights holder. If a rights holder can show that an upload would create a significant economic harm, it can request a takedown with that policymakers call a red button mechanism. Platforms then have a week to comply. In these minor use instances, platforms will have to pay collecting societies for their use under a fixed rate tariff, which would then be distributed to rights holders. The provision will only apply if there are no other licensing agreements in place, and platforms will still be required to seek licenses directly from its rights holders. The new copyright law also creates a new exception around the use of unlicensed works for parody, caricature, and pastiche. Rights holders fear that these concessions will fragment the digital market in Europe, making it hard to negotiate fair licensing deals with platforms and suppress growth. So it goes on, and it's very interesting. And instances where artists' moral rights have been infringed, such as the unauthorized use of their work in a way that might be deemed offensive or derogatory, rights holders are able to immediately block the content in question, even if it falls under the 15-second minor use category. An earlier draft version of the German law did not include this provision. Adoption text also includes a, quote, special protection of melodies provision, which already existed in German copyright law, but has been omitted from earlier drafts. So this is really interesting. What I'm going to throw out devil's advocate here. The U.S. has different rates than the UK for different things. There's blanket licenses for some, and the areas like what I look at is saying, like, how can we do something that, hey, if it's just a short format clip, we're using 15 seconds of it, kind of like what you're creating a story on TikTok. All right, I'm going to use this 15-second clip. Can we make this that the original creators, the musicians, the labels, the publishers, whatever, they all get a piece, but it's not the same rate as using a full piece, just like a sync placement. If it's background, if it's music in a store in the background, that's different than Triller. That's different than using 3 minutes of the piece as a main. And each territory is different. But anybody have thoughts on this? I mean, minor use, categorizing, slotting them into different ways, and saying here's your rates. I don't know. Anybody have some thoughts on this?
I wish we had a sync specialist in the room to chime in on this.
Yeah, because those sync deals are always so convoluted and back and forth when it comes to kind of how long the slot is for, how long the usage is for, in what territories. I can only imagine if you kind of use that model, it would just complicate everything even further.
And you look at like labels, and we talked about earlier this week, like Monster Cat. Monster Cat led the charge of saying to their Twitch streamers, the gamers, hey, here's our music. Use our entire catalog. We whitelisted it on Twitch. You're good to go. Take it all, listen to it all, have fun. And Monster Cat blows up. It's like, people, great. They already have a great art. They already have a great artist roster, but it's like, hey, just go do it. We don't care. We're a smaller label. We're getting revenue from other places. It all ties together. This is the model. This is what we're doing. And so anytime a gamer, Monster Cat comes out of their mouth. Harris Heller, a Twitch streamer, started his own stream. He just hired some producers to create like 1,000 tracks, put them into playlists on Spotify. He said, hey, I whitelisted it. I think he put it through DistroKid, so you can use your distributor. Say whitelist it. Anybody can use it. YouTube, Twitch, doesn't matter. Go for it. And what they do is they play his Spotify tracks. So guess what? He makes money off his spins, his plays. That works for him. That's not his only source of income. But people, he gets hundreds of thousands of plays a month. It's fine. What kind of areas can we look at as saying, well, something, maybe a 15-second spot, 15-second is a different rate, and it is this, and we make it easier and say, hey, for any other kind of social platform that is incorporating audio and video, this is what the deal is. This is it. Here you go. You want to start a company? Here you go. This is what it is. And maybe, some companies also started saying like, hey, if you're under $1 million of billing, we'll cut you a different rate, which we want you to succeed, because all these companies, these platforms, that when they succeed, it's a percentage game. So therefore, this is the percentage game. If they succeed, then there's more money trickling in. This is not about Spotify charging more or charging less, which was another discussion that we had earlier this week. They're saying that high fidelity on Spotify is going to be cheaper. Amazon's going to be cheaper. All of these are going to be cheaper. And then people are saying, well, now, great. Now they're not going to pay. They could have had the opportunity to pay artists more by charging more. It's like, that's not how it works. Okay, because when we get into the Spotify spot, you're going to see exactly why it doesn't work out, because Spotify is not a music streaming company. And I'm on fire. I'm on my soapbox today. Thank you for bearing with me. It's been one of those weeks, and I'm just seeing all this stuff pile up. I'm going to pass it over to Eli. Eli, can you just do the weather report, please? Save everybody from me.
Absolutely, I will. And you know what? I have great news. Taking a look at the weather report around the world and all around for our listeners on the web. Thanks for joining us. We want to look at your local weather, and we have great news for you. It's going to be an incredible weekend, weather-wise and otherwise, because here comes the sun, and it's all right. Back to you, Peter.
Do. All right. I hope we don't get. Wait. Now we're going to get a copyright strike.
Well, that's why I didn't sing it.
No. Right on. This is in Seeking Alpha for our podcast people. Apple launches affiliate payment program for podcast creators. So the Apple Service Performance Partner Program is expanding to include podcast creators. Interested creators fill out an application, and once approved, receive a unique affiliate token from Apple. The token is added to all of creators' Apple's podcast links. When a listener clicks on one of those links and becomes a paid subscriber, the creator receives an affiliate commission on all podcast-related subscription purchases for the next 30 days. Apple Podcast affiliates receive a one-time payment equal to 50% of the first month's subscription fees for each new subscription brought in during the 30-day period. For example, if a listener signs up for a $10 per month subscription, the creator would receive a one-time payment of $5. There's no upper cap on earnings. The Affiliate Partners program already existed for services like Apple TV and Apple News. The program is rolling out to more than 170 countries where Apple Podcasts are available. And a little background is Apple announced the podcast subscriptions would launch in May, a podcast push to compete with Spotify, but provided few details. The podcast wars, the music streaming wars between Apple and Spotify, they've been going on, and they're heating up even more. And with that being said, let's head back to Eli for her favorite spot.
It is the Spotify spot, the big green dot. It hits the spot. We are moving into some of our final headlines for today, where we're going to look at technology in the music industry. Don't forget, we're here from 12 to 1 every weekday. You can join us for all the news that's fit to listen to and discuss. And be sure to ping your friends into the room as well. As we finish with our final headlines here, we're going to open up the discussion. If there's anything that you'd like to discuss, this is our Friday week in review, and we've covered 59 articles this week, I believe. So feel free to raise your hand, join us in the chat in conversation, and let us know your thoughts on any of the articles that we've taken a look at this week as we move into the Spotify spot and our week in review roundtable discussion. Let's get going, Peter. Did we lose you?
And we have something special for everybody here. Get ready. Everybody, just listen up. We have something for the Spotify spot. We have a little jingle. Since we do this pretty much every day, and this is courtesy of Eli. Here we go, everybody. We have a new jingle for it going into the Spotify spot. Here it is. Ooh, that's the short one. And here's the long one.
I can't hear it.
You can't hear it? You couldn't hear it? Oh, no. All right. Wow. Why wasn't that going there? All right, let's try this one more time. Can you hear it now?
Sounds like it's had an immediate takedown.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, this is Twitch muting. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. Here it is. Big green dot. It's the spot. That was worth it.
The Spotify spot theme. Yeah, we heard it. Awesome.
Yeah, all right. Wow, I don't know why that wasn't going through. All right, so now we got it. I just listened to it like 5 times on my headset. So anyway, with that being said, we're going to go over to the Spotify spot. Spotify expands into the audiobooks by market by partnering with Storytel. And this one, Spotify is further expanding into audiobooks, but not in the way you may think. The company today announced a new partnership with audiobooks platform Storytel, which will allow existing Storytel subscribers to connect their accounts through Spotify to access their audiobooks within Spotify's app. The partnership is the first notable example of what's possible on Spotify's recently introduced open access platform, which aims to give creators and publishers a way to extend their reach. The company briefly spoke about its plans for open access platform during the press event Stream On earlier this year, where it detailed plans for paid podcast subscriptions, Spotify Hi-Fi, and other new features. The open access platform gives publisher or creator a new way to deliver their content to their existing subscriber base by allowing their customers to stream the content through Spotify. Storytel is the first major publisher to adopt the OAP, is the first major publisher to adopt OAP. The technology supports users creating or publishing a publisher's existing login system and allows them to maintain direct control over their relationship with the listeners. For example, a paid podcast could use the system to stream to existing subscribers. In Storytel's case, however, the company offers audio book content, not podcasts. And quote, "We want everyone to have access to great stories, and today's Storytel offers more than 500,000 audiobooks on a global basis across 25 markets. Partnering Spotify will make amazing audiobook experiences and exciting authorships easier than ever to access for our customers, while we will also be tapping into the opportunity of reaching new audiences who are on Spotify today but not have yet experienced the magic of audiobooks." Jonas Tellender, Storytel founder and CEO. All right, so this is it's really interesting to see it once again. I kind of tie this into what I was saying before, and I've said probably for a year or two. Spotify is not a music streaming platform. It's an entertainment platform with all this different content. So if you're worried about them charging more or less and think that's going to go back to musicians per stream rate, there is also really no per stream rate. That's not how it works in that sense for most of these deals that are happening. Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts on this? And that is it for the reads. And sorry about that. Once again, I was reading, and this is all week. I just got to say, all week, these articles, I don't know who's proofreading them, but as I'm reading through, it's like that sentence doesn't make any sense. It's is, are, was, were, this, that. So I'm sorry for stumbling. More than usual. I think maybe the proofreaders are still out of the office or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's killing me. Normally, I already mess up enough as it is. I don't need any more help. Any thoughts or anybody?
You're doing a great job, Peter. We're going to open up the round table. This is our Friday week in review. Feel free to join the discussion. We covered a lot this week. Anybody have any thoughts?
I'm having a case of the Mondays on a Friday. Somebody save me. Who's got something they want to talk about? I'll just start talking about Twitch again.
I'm really excited to see that some of the funding is at least on the move and due to come into some of these small independent music venues. I feel like this is something that's part of the cultural fabric of America. How many amazing musicians got their start in small clubs and independent venues. We can't all begin at a Live Nation venue. We can't all play our first gig at Madison Square Garden. We have to start somewhere, and these independent venues really are places where art is cultivated and where musicians are curated and where people fall in love with music and realize that it's a part of them that is just always going to be there. I think that this funding is absolutely critical to preserve these places. I know Germany preserves their venues as cultural institutions, and although the United States is not necessarily doing that, I feel like this funding is a step in the right direction to really take a stance in America and say that these venues are critical. They are part of our cultural fabric. As musicians, as music lovers, as citizens, we need our venues. So this funding coming is great news. I'm really excited.
Yeah, finally rolling out. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's support local, support indie, and you know something. this week is telling me to like just be done with it already. And for anybody that's tuned in on the video, the light just went out next to me. One of my side lights. So now I'm like half like I'm in the dark on the left side of my face. This is just one. Who's anybody else out there having one of those weeks? It's like I just want the weekend to come. Play me off, Johnny. Play me off.
Exactly. It's like vaudeville.
Right. And again, anybody that's anybody that's new, that's on Android, welcome to Clubhouse. It's great to see you. And make sure to follow. There's the Music Industry City at the top. You click that green house, that you can follow the group here, the club, and also follow everybody up on stage here. We do the Good Day Music Room from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we talk about different topics in there. It's more of a casual hang, and it's bring some topics to the table. And on Fridays we do a music shout out, and we make a playlist from that. And so that will be announced we put that in our emails on Sunday and Wednesday. And you can get those by registering for free at musicindustrycity.com. And that's where else you can find the show notes. So all the articles that we covered today are in the show notes. And just when you go to musicindustrycity.com, you just click on the show notes graphic. And again, make sure for the Android users, hit follow across all these people on the stage. That way, there's a lot of great people up here, and when you follow them into a room, they're most likely going to be in a good room.
It's like making friends on campus. You make that one friend, and every club they're part of, and every after-school activity they do after high school, that's where you want to be. So we definitely want to welcome all of our Android users into the room. You can always ping your friends into the room. And don't forget, we are here with the Music News Power Hour every weekday at 12 Eastern. But man, we've covered so many headlines. How many this week, Peter? Was it 59? Did I get that right?
It was 59, I believe. I might have been more. Let me see it. But I also see Gary has jumped up on the stage. Gary, was there something you wanted to jump in about?
I invited Gary. I always loved Gary's perspective. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Eli. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Peter. I'm just listening. I'm enjoying the show. So thank you for doing this.
Right on. Well,
Lindsay's joined us also, and I haven't had a chance to say hi to Lindsay. And so I do just want to say hi, Lindsay. And I want to ask, is there anything that we covered today that you have some thoughts on?
No, I'm good. I was just listening.
Lindsay, we miss
Friday.
We miss you in the morning room.
It's a great day to listen.
Yeah,
I do like the perspective, Peter, that it's an entertainment company, because I have so many friends who are complaining about the per stream rate. My daughter's an EDM artist; she has over 1 million streams, but I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means financially for her.
It means that she's going to have a great career. She broke the 1 million streams. If she broke 1 million streams, then she's doing something right, and she's on a good trajectory, and just ride that wave. And if she's EDM, is she doing stuff on Twitch? Like, is she doing any DJing, production, live streaming, or even in VR?
She's doing all of it. She's already started doing some touring because Texas was opening up early, so she went to do 2 shows in the last month in Texas, and she performs under the name Hades, but the A is upside down, so it's a V. But she's sort of under the umbrella of Deadmau5. So she's one of the. So her releases are coming into through his venues and stuff like that.
Oh, so she's with Mousetrap then.
Yeah.
She doing an NFT yet?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if she is. I mean, if somebody's advising her to do that, she's not the greatest business person in the world, but thank God she has management. And I'm only beginning to understand it. I'm just trying to understand Bitcoin. I don't understand that yet.
Is she with
Peter? We almost made it. We almost made it. We almost made it.
I had to say it.
With Bitcoin.
well, so the NFT. So, but is she under Mousetrap's management roster, which is what 7-0 or so? What is that? Wow, I just drew a blank.
No, I'm not sure. She's associated with one management company. I know that she's under the umbrella of the Deadmau5 artists. Like when she did her net release, it was on Deadmau5's.
Well, they know what's going on with technology, and when it comes to NFTs, I'm sure she'll probably tell you.
Yeah.
I do have one more article. Some articles I kind of just, I say, like, we're going to add it to the block. Some I skip over. I do want to just point one more out because we do have just a couple minutes left. And this is Ticketmaster.
We're going to make it 60 articles. Let's do it. I feel like, 60 articles.
We are going to make it 60. Let's do this. And this is from iq.mag, iq-mag.net. Ticketmaster integrates with Snapchat. All right, let's pull this one up for the people on the video stream. Snapchat users will be able to find nearby shows, buy concert tickets through the app as part of a new partnership with Ticketmaster. So the partnership, the developer of Snapchat, to launch 2 Ticketmaster-branded experiences in the popular teen-friendly video sharing app. The integration with Ticketmaster is one of several new features announced at Snap's Partner Summit the other day, with the leading ticket company getting its own layer on Snapchat's location-sharing feature, Snapchat, as well as Ticketmaster's Mini, which is Snap jargon for an in-app game or utility that allows Snapchat users to share concerts they are interested in with their friends and buy tickets. Map Layers launches with 2 partners, Ticketmaster and Restaurant View. This is all like they're tying this all together. The Ticketmaster layer, which rolls out layers this year, will take Snapchatters directly to the Ticketmaster Mini to buy tickets to the show. The TM Mini also allows users to swipe left or right on different artists to connect with Snapchat friends across the world who want to see the same show. At launch, the Ticketmaster layer and Mini will specifically focus on live music events, a spokesperson confirms. The integration with Ticketmaster is the latest live music partnership for Snap, following an earlier tie-up with Ticketmaster's parent company, Live Nation, as well as secondary ticketing site SeatGeek. Snapchat had around 265 million daily users as of Q4 2020. Eli, they're not letting me get through an article without... They were like, the Ticketmaster layer... It said, at launch, the Ticketmaster layer and Mini will specifically on live music events. I'm like...
I saw that.
They just won't let me get through this week, will they?
I think it's a test. They're testing your on-screen live reading skills, and it's been the kind of week where we just don't need any kind of tests, you know what I mean? But at any rate, we are coming down into the final moments here of the Music News Power Hour for this Friday and the Week in Review. Thanks for joining our discussion. My name is Eli Window, and I want to remind you that you can follow, like, subscribe, or join the club to get updates on all of our Music Industry City events. And you can also register for free on musicindustrycity.com to get email updates, or to click on the show notes link and review any of the 60, yes, count them 60, headlines that we read this week here in the Music News Power Hour. You can join us every weekday from 12 to 1 Eastern, where we cover all the music news that is actually fit to listen to and discuss. We hope that you'll join us on Clubhouse and across multiple streaming platforms all over the web. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks for being part of the discussion. Thanks for being part of the Music Industry City Club. And thanks for being part of today's broadcast. Over to you, Peter. Happy Friday, everyone.
Did I tell you I forgot to charge my laptop and it just died on me for my teleprompter, like for my notes?
All right. Well, I want to remind everybody also that you can join the Good Day Music World Room at 11 Eastern every day on Clubhouse. There are all kinds of shout outs, including on Friday. You can shout out your favorite artist. Make sure that you check out on musicindustrycity.com. There is a playlist on Spotify where you can look at all of the artists who have been shouted out and lifted up in the Good Day Music World rooms here on Music Industry City. How'd I do?
That was a lot better than me. Thank you so much, Eli. Thank you, everybody, for putting up. I'm getting off of this. I am going to go to sleep until Wednesday, until Monday. See, I don't even know what day I'm going to sleep until. See, it's just been one of those days. Thank you so much, everybody. It's great seeing you. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. And we'll see you on Monday.
Happy Friday.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Eli.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
I hope you have a beautiful Friday and a beautiful weekend if I don't see you on Clubhouse before Monday.
Yeah, I haven't been on here as much, but it's really nice outside. It's just going outside.